Hello guys, Kavyus. Welcome back to Viewmoto channel. In this video, I will going to show you how to create a reusable API request using Axios. So this is our API, login API. Actually, this is working. We have the payload, email, and password. And then let's try it to if this is working. Yeah, this is working. We have the response status 200, and then the response data is user information and rule, as well as with the token. This is the JWT token. And then we have here the login component. This is our form variables. We have email and password. As you can see, I put a value of our email and password. The email is viewmoto@gmail.com, and then the password is 123456. This is for testing purposes. Now, let's go to Axios file. Now we are going to create our reusable API request using Axios. So first thing we do is we are going to import the Axios plugin. So import Axios from Axios. Now we are going to create our function for to call it when we trigger the login button. So now let's export uh, async function, and then API double parenthesis, then double curly bracket, and then the arguments or parameter of our method, URL, and data that we're going to pass it in the API. So let's say args, and then curly bracket, double curly bracket. And then we're going to put here the try and catch. So it means try catch. If the response status is success, like 200 and 201, it will fall here in try. And then if error, like for example, 401 and 422, 403, that are the examples of error response status in API request, in HTTP API request. So what we are gonna do here is I am going to put an example of API response status code. So I am going to comment it on top of this function. So let's say um, response status code, success response status code, and then um, 201. Let's put an asterisk. 201 and 200. I'm going to put here basic response, basic API status. Let's say HTTP response status code, and then uh, with the error response status code. Let's put here 400, 400, 500, and then 401, 422, and then 403. These are the example of error code. For more information regarding this HTTP response status code, you can Google it so that you can get more idea on how to use these error codes and success status code. So here in try, we are going to make a variable const response equal to await. So let's. Let me put an await, Axios, and then parentheses, and then curly bracket. And then inside of this function, we are going to put a parameter method, and then args dot method. And then the second one is the data, and then args dot data. Params, args dot params. And then headers, curly bracket, and then just put here triple dot, and then args dot header, and then authorization, and then bearer, and then dollar sign. So let's put an empty here for the meantime. The token will be empty for the meantime, and then after that, base URL, and then we're going to get our base URL in our .env file here. This is our base URL. So base URL, let's say, let's put here process at env that view up dev, because we are going to use dev first. And then after this variable, we are going to return the response. Return. I'm not going to return. I mean, I'm not going to return the whole response. I'm going to modify it a bit. So let's put here okay, and then the value of this okay is true, and then the data is response dot data. So if our API request is success, we can get this return okay in the data. And then here at catch, let's put function here, double parenthesis, and then error. I forgot to put. Then return okay is false, because this will be our identifier when integrated in the our function, login function. So um, comma, and then error, and error that response, yeah, error that response. This will be our reusable API call using Axios. Now we have the whole function, so we can use this in our login event or login function. Let's go back here in our login component. So here, this is our login button. We are going to import the Axios file here in our login component. Then let's say import Axios uh, API, import API, I mean, from src boot, and then Axios. Then this API, we can use it here in our submit login function. So let's say const response equal to await API, and then your arguments or parameter. Let's say the method is post, and then the data is we're going to get the data in our form data, a form variable. I mean, let's say email. This will be our payload, email, and then form that value, that email, that value, and then the password is form that value, that password, and then that value. Yeah, this is our payload. And then the API is let's say auth login. I mean, this is a string auth login, because as you can see in our login API request, or login API is auth login. So this is our base URL, and then auth login, and then we are going to put here auth login. So let's go back in our Axios, and then we're going to put here plus, or yeah, plus, and then args dot API, because our endpoint is key value pair is API, as you can see here, API auth login. um, what we can do here is the base URL is your base URL from ENB, this one, and then your endpoint will be added here in your ENB, so that you can get the whole base URL and the endpoint. And then we are going to check the response here. We're not going to put try catch again here because it's redundant. Every time you are going to validate the form or the API request, always validate the error first, so that if that's true, you can return false or break the line, so that it will not execute the another line of codes. And then let's say here, if not response that okay, double curly bracket, and then return false. Yeah. So if this condition is true, we're going to prompt an alert. So alert double curly bracket MSG, and then response that error, that data, that messages, that error. So this is our catcher, error catcher. So let's try it. Let's go to our user interface of our. Let's go to our login user interface. So as you can see, we have an error here. The ESLint says that line 17 strings must be used single quote. So let's go back into our Axios file. Line 17 should be single quote. Okay, let's change it into single quote and then save it. Let's go back again. It says here again, the new line required at the end of the file but not found. So let's go back here in Axios. Let's put a new line. Save it again, and then yeah, it's working now. Now we're going to test our API, login API. So I'm going to trigger this login. So it says here that code igniter. This is our request, yeah, and then our payload. This is our payload, and then the status code is 404. Uh, it's not 404, meaning not found. So our endpoint is not found. Why? Because the login is wrong spelling. Say so. Let's check the spelling of our login. Let's go back here in our login component. Yeah, it's wrong spelling. Log in. Let's try it again. let's go back to our login user interface, and then click this one to clear the network, and then login again. Yeah, we have 200. It means that's success. And then the payload is viewmoto@gmail.com, and then the password is 123456, and then the data response is user information rule and token. As you can see in our Thunder API platform, that the response data is the same as what we have got in our login user interface in our network. Now let's try to put a wrong email in our login form. Let's put here lots of characters, and then submit the login button, and then say it says that email or password is incorrect. And then the login status or the API request status is 401 unauthorized. It means that your credential is wrong. And then let's take this back, view motto, and then this is our password 123456, and I'm going to remove the 6 and then log in again, so that we got a wrong password. And it says here again, email or password is invalid. We got the 401 again. Then let's go, put back the 6, and then this should be success because our email and password is correct. So click the login again. Yeah, we've got 200. So the integration of our reusable API request using Axios has been done. You can try this in your project. I swear, it's cool, it's clean, and it's easy to integrate. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe our channel so that you will be notified for the next videos that we're going to upload soon.